Ready? We'll call the council work session to order on Monday, November 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. and ask the city recorder to call the roll.
Council President Briggs.
Here.
Councilor Barrientos.
Here.
Councilor Blosser.
Here.
Councilor Fitzgerald is excused. Councilor Holzapfel.
Here.
Councilor Jantz.
Here.
Councilor Schilling is excused. Councilor Shane.
Here.
Councilor Spivey.
Here.
We have a quorum. First item on the agenda is the commercial indoor recreation and industrial zones. Emily?
I will invite Tyler up to give his staff report.
Thank you, Emily, and good evening, councilors. Today, for the work session, we're talking with you all about some proposed changes to our development code to allow for commercial indoor recreation in industrial zones. And so the general background for this is the staff was contacted by the Chamber of Commerce regarding a local competitive cheer gym that was interested in a new and larger location to accommodate their business. They've been growing since they opened here in Dallas, and they've continually needed to move around here in the community. And they're now again looking for a larger space. The business owners were ready to execute a lease with the willing property owner, but the property was zoned industrial. You know, they did the right thing, came into the city, and our staff let them know that that's not a permitted use in industrial zones. And so that prompted them to reach out to the chamber. The chamber connected us. I sat down with the business owners for a meeting and kind of heard what their plans are for their business, how the business has been successful, what they contribute to the community. And then from that, we did some research on surrounding communities, and we found that other communities provide for commercial indoor recreation, which essentially is a gym, gymnasium, athletic training type facility to be allowed into industrial zones. And so we began the conversation with the planning department about what this code change would look like in terms of changes to the industrial code. And so attached on attachment B is that proposed formal code language, and then attachment A is a letter from the business as well as the property owner expressing their support for the change. They've been very helpful throughout the process in terms of explaining to us what their needs are. And essentially what the needs are is they simply need bigger space, and they need space with a high ceiling. Because again, this is a competitive cheer gym. They're throwing cheerleaders in the air, doing all types of stunts that require high ceiling space. And currently, their current space on Main Street cannot accommodate that. And other commercial available suites aren't able to accommodate that as well. So we were able to do our research, and we found that our neighboring communities here in Polk County allow a similar use in their light industrial zone. So Dallas only has one industrial zone, and that's what we would propose allowing these types of uses in. And then I spoke with the folks in Salem's planning department, and we had a great discussion about what they allow, and we talked through that, and what we're describing is what they also allow within their industrial zone. And so essentially what we're looking for from the council tonight is just general feedback on this code language so that we can make any changes that might be necessary before we take this through the approval process, starting with the Planning Commission.
Okay, discussion, questions for Tyler? Councilor Shane.
The distinction between, in terms of square footage, between the distinction is made between major event and retail. What's the, what am I trying to ask? Why make a distinction? What's the value of having categories? I mean, what does that buy us?
In terms of the specific categories, in terms of the square footage there, I'd have to talk with Chase, the planner, on that distinction.
I'd like to know that before we're not going to do this tonight, of course, but before we get around to actually enacting this into the code, I'd like to know what the explanation is for that, rather than just leaving it wide open. So if you could find that out before we look at it again, I'd like to know the answer.
Yeah, we can make sure that's included in the staff report.
Aside from that, this looks to me like an absolute no-brainer. I don't see any downside to it at all, and I see plenty of upsides. 2 cents worth.
Counselor Spivey.
This is more about just the zoning itself. What's our current utilization for both industrial and commercial zoning in town?
Utilization meaning,
Well, if we have so many areas, are they being used right now? So like, what's our availability for commercial? What's our availability for industrial?
so in terms of developed commercial
Yeah.
land, the availability is relatively low. We have some vacancies here in the downtown and then in the north part of Dallas. We also have a lot of commercial land that's just simply not developed, so it's bare land right now. And obviously there are large costs to be incurred there. And then I'd say about the vast majority of our industrially zoned land is either underdeveloped or undeveloped. And so what we're expecting essentially is if we were to, even if we were to move every commercial gym use that's currently in Dallas and move it all to industrial land, it would be about 1 to 2 acres. So just for general context, the mill site is about 40 to 50 acres. So even if every gym were to move to an industrial plot of land in the community, we don't expect it to have an adverse effect on our availability of industrial available land. But since we do have such low commercial availability, with this building and business in particular, it would open up a storefront on Main Street for what's probably for a more appropriate use for a Main Street storefront as opposed to a gym. And they recognize that too.
They
as
even
well.
mentioned it in their letter.
Yeah, and so that's one of the large benefits we see for this zone change is it allows additional flexibility for existing gyms and new gyms that want to open in the community to not have to be essentially forced right now into either the downtown commercial zone or in the North Dallas commercial area.
Are they taxed at different rates, industrial and commercial?
Yes, I believe so.
Which ones?
I believe industrial's taxed a bit higher, right, Charlie?
Would we keep it at that if it was a conditional use for commercial?
We don't set the tax rates based on.
Okay.
Keep in mind, whoever owns it is paying the industrial rate now today.
Just curious if they would switch to commercial, that's all. The commercial rate. Got another.
Keep going, Robert.
With the facilities themselves, is there different codes for an industrial building versus a commercial building as far as, how many bathrooms, how many parking spots, and then would they change their, which would they fall under if they were conditional use for commercial?
That I'd probably have to defer to the building department on the specifics of that. But again, with any business moving into a new space, to get a certificate of occupancy, they're going to need to go through the process with the building department to be able to obtain that. And so any changes that need to be made to the building would be made at that time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I really do love the idea of more indoor recreation in Dallas. I think people are clamoring for it. I just wanted to have some answers, so I appreciate your time.
David?
I agree with you about the value of more indoor recreation, especially considering what fall and winter is like here. And the point about freeing up downtown space for retails, for me, that's the big attraction in the whole thing because, well, needn't beat it into the ground. But just a comment on what you were talking about industrial land. After a decade plus on the Planning Commission and going through pretty detailed housing needs analysis and economic opportunities analysis and all of that and drilling down pretty deep, industrial land is the one thing we have oodles of. It's the only category where we're not in any danger of running out any time, and certainly not in my lifetime. Whereas with commercial and residential, we had to play some games to make sure we have enough. Well, the expansion of the Lock Rail node, for example. But industrial, we're swimming in industrial land, so that's not going to do any harm at all. Yeah.
You see this as the first of many moves? Like, is this something that's going to set precedents, or do you have any forecasting in the future what this is going to look like?
So outside of the conversations I've had with this gym in particular, I've had conversations with another gym that's in the downtown that may be interested in expanding. And their gym in particular would likely fit better in an industrial zone rather than a commercial zone. The industrial construction, in terms of concrete floors, those types of things are better able to accommodate their equipment and kind of the load that they're putting onto a floor, which is an issue that they've run into with their building currently, where, just the dropping of heavy weights and things like that can damage a historic floor. And so there hasn't been any other business that has reached out and said, if this change were to be made, we would definitely move. But there are gyms in the downtown right now that are continuing to grow and might be at their capacity soon and might want to relocate. And so this is something that we see would be able to give them an additional option of finding space in the future.
Any more questions for Tyler or comments on it?
So what's the next step?
So the next step for this is our plans are to have this go through the process with the Planning Commission. And so our hope is if that process can stay timely and on track, that the council would likely have it to consider either in December or early January.
Is that soon enough for this particular client?
Yes, and so we had that conversation with them. This isn't something where it is an urgent enough matter where they would risk leaving the community or risk of being outside of a lease. We're not having a lease renewed, but it is something that if they would like to be able to pursue the option sooner rather than later. So it's not an emergency per se, but it's something that I think if we can get finished in the next 6 months, it'd be beneficial to their business.
Okay, so the consensus is to move forward, that's what I'm hearing. So thank you, Tyler.
Thank you very much.
All right, next on the agenda, we have the Public Works Annual Report. Jennifer.
Mayor, good evening, councilors. Thank you for this opportunity to share with you the annual report of the Public Works Department. As you know, having a new director isn't the only change that's happened within the Public Works Department this year. So I want to introduce you to what Public Works looks like in Dallas today. And I'll just say that in the past, this council has received an annual report about parks and aquatics separately. And I've chosen to incorporate parks and aquatics into the Public Works annual report because they are part of Public Works. And I would like for our community and for you as a council and for us internally to see all 8 divisions of Public Works as a single department working together to provide for the citizens of our city. So I am the new director as of July 1st, and I'm ably assisted by Assistant Director Jake Dyer, who's also with me tonight. And we have 8 divisions. Support Services is led by Support Services Supervisor Michael Pierce. Our Aquatics Division is led by Gretchen Grimberg down at the Aquatic Center. Fleet Maintenance is led by Spencer Hayes, new to that supervisor position. Facilities Maintenance is currently vacant. We don't have a foreman in that position right now. Wastewater is one of our divisions. We, the city, owns our wastewater treatment plant. However, we don't run it. We are contracted with Jacobs Engineering, and they provide the staffing and the management of our plant by contract. Water treatment and distribution, we don't currently have a water supervisor in that position. That's because I stole him and made him assistant director. And so Jake is both functioning in his capacity as assistant director and continuing to lead the water division. Parks maintenance is headed up by Owen Barth. He's been in that position for a little over a year. Street, stormwater, and wastewater collection is headed by Mike Kibbe, who has been here, just slightly longer or slightly less than you?
15 days less than me.
There we go. So one of our long-term employees. And so that's our department. And you can see as I go through each division, I've included the FTE. You'll see that we're a very large department, and we're also very diverse. We are large, so I have tried to really just provide highlights of each division for you, so I don't completely put you to sleep, and hopefully we'll have time for questions at the end to expand on anything that you are wondering about. So we'll start with aquatics, and hopefully you've all seen and been to our aquatic center with 5 pools, as well as what we call the party rooms. Those are starting to feature more prominently because one of the highlights of the past year is that we've started offering land fitness classes out of those party rooms. So they're used for rentals, for party rentals, but now we're also using them for land fitness classes to really get more use, and there's even more opportunity there. I want to point out that the aquatics division has I should have made that two full-time employees. That's Gretchen and also our head guard, Kylie Weaver, and then about 41 part-time employees. So those are our instructors, our lifeguards, primarily our instructors and lifeguards, both for our our aquatic exercise classes and also for our swimming lessons. So all together, I mean, it's very variable down there, but generally we have about 13 FTE.
I would ask you a question about this slide. The bottom bullet on the left side, the increase in entries since the previous year. Do you have a sense of what that is, what that delta is in percentage terms proportionately? Is it 1%? Is it a third? I mean, what, just ballpark?
Sorry, I don't have a feel for that.
Just asked.
Yeah, it's a valid question. It leads to bullet point number 3, which is that we have officially returned to pre-COVID lesson levels, and so we're also seeing that return to higher usage for all of the pool facilities and offerings. As I've mentioned here before, we replaced all of the lights in the natatorium, and staff also started teen nights. So the third Tuesday of every night is open just for teenagers, middle school and up, and that's been successful and kind of hits a demographic that maybe we hadn't included as much. Looking forward, we're getting a whale.
Is that what it's going to look like?
That is what it's going to look like.
The kids are going to love that.
Yeah. So we are going to, one of our capital projects is to replaster the leisure pool. That's the pool that has the lazy river in it and where we currently have like that play fountain. The play fountain has been kind of a maintenance nightmare for a while, and it gets limited use. And so we're going to replace it with this cute guy. And then we anticipate we're hoping to offer even more utilizing the party rooms, not just land fitness classes, but other recreational classes. They could be art and craft classes, maybe some music classes. There's potential there that we're pursuing and having conversations with. Our water treatment and distribution division, so you can see there's our dam up at Mercer Reservoir. The picture, yes, on your right is the Clay Street Reservoir. One of our capital projects last year was to put a new cover on that and also fix the repair in the bottom of it. We completed the fish pillow project at Mercer Dam, so those fish that spill over the top are landing in water as opposed to smacking across against concrete there at the bottom of the dam. We just finished early September, the water line replacement and upgrade at Douglas Street, and also got a new coating on the Clearwell tank up at the treatment plant. Currently, our water division has about 5.5 FTE, so that's with that would be with a supervisor and then our crew both up at the dam and working in distribution. The 0.5 is because we have a shared position, one individual who is shared between water and streets. Looking forward, we're going to be completing the Ash Street water line. This was started as the Clay Street water line, and that'll mean abandoning the 1947 era 16-inch concrete line. I'm anxious to do this because when Jake and I first met in our new capacities, he said this is one of the things that keeps him up at night. It's a very old line. If it breaks, we don't really have a good way to repair it. So we're looking forward to getting that replaced and Jake getting more sleep. Upgrading the 1200 AMI radios, upgrading the filter media at the plant, that's underway currently. That'll increase our flow capacities by 20 to 30% up at the plant. And switching our chemicals at the plant to more efficiently control pH and alkalinity.
Does that 5.5 include a manager or not? So it would be 6.5 if
6.5.
it was not leaderless? Okay. Not that it's not being led now. We know who's leading that. So. Okay, thank you.
Streets, stormwater, and wastewater collections division. Kind of our operations cover a lot of different aspects of maintaining our city infrastructure. They've been working very closely with our environmental compliance and support services on getting compliant with our TMDL, our total maximum daily load requirements, and that includes inspection and cleaning of our catch basins within the city. They cleaned and inspected 50% of the catch basins within the city and replaced about 40 of those catch basins. And so that's bringing us up to the level of inspection and maintenance that the state is requiring us under our TMDL plan. We demolished the old Public Works building in-house. So many of you, I think all of you, were down there and saw the new one. That small picture there shows you the rubble of the old one, and our crews did that in-house. They installed message boards on their service vehicles for better traffic safety, so those kind of pop up as we need them to direct traffic, and they painted all of the yellow curbs citywide. And I don't know what the mileage is of that, but that's a lot. This year, we're looking forward to constructing a new wash bay and sweeper dump site. That's part of re-envisioning the entire Public Works yard. So as we build the new building, that has us thinking about, how we're utilizing the rest of the yard, and putting in a new wash bay as part of that. They will continue the catch basin work and hopefully be able to focus on some of the smaller scale sewer and storm line replacements.
Sounds obvious, but what is the sweeper dump site?
Yeah, the place where we,
Sweeper?
exactly.
We actually keep that on site, or we don't recycle it?
Yeah, we let it dry out and then haul it.
Then, okay, all right, just curious. Good stuff.
Stuff. Our Parks Maintenance Division, and we've talked earlier about the Forestry Creek Trails. That was one of our accomplishments of this past year. That's them working in on it. And then I want to take a minute to explain what all of these colorful dots are. This past year, we got a Oregon Department of Forestry grant for a summer intern. And it was, she did help with tree maintenance, but her main responsibility was to do our tree inventory. And under the terms of that particular grant, she could only work on the south side of Rickreall Creek, but she inventoried every single city tree in the parks, along the creek, on our streets, and really got that done. And that's something that has kind of been on the Parks Board to-do list for years, almost decades. So I don't know if we'll be able to find grant funding to do the north side of the creek, but she was very, very effective this year. And
Are
that's
the
her-
colored dots, are they different species of trees?
They are, yeah. And so we use Tree Plotter, which is a state-provided platform for tree inventory, maintenance, and management. And so if you go into that, in the key, it'll show you what each color is. So that's Maya helping out, and talked about Forestry Creek Trails. We replaced the lighting in Dallas City Park, And we also completed Lone Oak Park, and that's just a little pocket park up there on Perkins Court, kind of in the northwest part of town. But it's a nice little green space in that neighborhood. I was pretty pleased with the way that turned out. 4 FTE in parks maintenance, supervisor, 2 full-time parks workers, and 2 part-time workers as well. Looking forward to this, to what's coming up in the year ahead. You've all been invited. I think you all know about the ribbon cutting at Barnard Park on Saturday. I know several of you will be joining us for that. The installation of accessible swings at Dallas City Park, and new basketball and pickleball courts at Dallas City Park. Those are all projects that we've talked about together. This is our support services division, and they do a variety of things really to support all the other aspects of public works and other parts of the city as well. So GIS is housed in support services, environmental compliance is housed there, project management is mainly there, also helps with our bidding process, and plan review. And so working with both commercial and residential development and contractors, all housed in support services. So as far as project management, again, you've had updates about these through the construction season. What we affectionately call Levinsdale, the intersection of Ellendale and Levins, the Phase 5 rehab and ADA improvements around the high school, and Phase 1 of the Hawthorne Lockrail Node Sewer Project that went up Hawthorne and along Ellendale. Improvements to our TMDL compliance, as I talked about earlier, we really got a glowing report in the report that our consultant is submitting to DEQ. I think I'll be sharing that with you later this year. So we've really come a long way from having really no plan for TMDL, 4 or 5 years ago, to really getting into compliance. Sure. So it's total maximum daily load, and those are the guidelines for release of various chemicals and sediments into waters of the state. So things like mercury, sedimentation, temperatures coming online. Yeah. Also, the interactive construction projects map. So this was put together by our GIS, and that's a picture of it down in the corner. So you can go to the city website and go to this map and pull up the different construction projects that we have either underway or planned, and learn a little bit more about them and see where they are in the city. We thought that was pretty important with the busy construction season that we had this past summer.
Are we still expecting, because the last time I heard, we were expecting the rest of the equipment for Levinsdale to be here in December. Is that still our expectation?
I'm not sure. I haven't heard differently that it's December, but I haven't had that confirmed. But definitely this winter, because the hope is that we'll be able to put it in over Christmas break when the kids are out of school. Yeah. Yes.
Still on track.
Still the plan. So next year, we'll be designing at least Phase 2 of the Hawthorne Lockrail Node Sewer Project. So that's bringing the sewer to the actual node. We'll be designing the James Howe Reservoir, and we already talked about the Ash Street water line replacement, but support services will be providing support for that, at least with the bidding part. Wastewater Treatment Division, this is our plant. And like I said, it is managed and run for us by Jacobs. They have 5 full-time employees out there. Claudia had been the manager out there for many, many years. She retired, I think, a little over a year ago. And so there was some flux there at the plant until they were able to get a permanent manager out there. And so Caleb Trammell came in earlier this year. He's terrific. He's a young guy. He came up from Roseburg, very conscientious, very on top of things, great communication with us. Really enjoy working with him. And he's been able to fully staff his team down there. In the last year, they completed a major repair to the west influence screen. They replanted the pollinator garden. You see a picture of that. And the new UV disinfection system was installed. And we just got a report on that we're seeing 11.2 reduction in energy savings across the facility with the installation of that system.
Have a reduction in savings?
Sorry, a reduction in energy usage. That was a typo on my part. Thank you. Thank you for catching that.
Is Jacobs the successor to CH2M?
It is. This year, we are upgrading the aeration system on the oxidation ditch. And also I know Caleb's really anxious to improve the way that we handle solids out on the, oops, let me go. How do I go backwards? I'm sorry? There we go. So these are our drying ponds out here. And there have been issues with getting the material to dry completely in order to be hauled out completely. So, we've had to do some things to manage our solids out there. And
Challenge at this time of year.
exactly, that's part of it. So Caleb's very much aware of that and really working to manage those so that they really can dry out completely. We can haul them out completely and we can have full capacity in those ponds.
Could you go back to that aerial? So, looking, we're always looking down the road for capacity. Do we have enough land there to expand if we needed to double the size?
I mean, I don't know about double, but we're certainly not using all of the land out there. Yeah, there's,
We're always looking for our freshwater and Mercer Dam's expansion, but we also need to think about the expansion of the other side.
as well. And, my feeling in the conversations that I've had, and Jake, feel free to jump in if you've understood differently, is that we are well situated to handle what we expect our community to produce in the years ahead for quite some time. We're not near capacity.
City
No,
by any means.
no.
Do I take it that the existing facility is nowhere near capacity?
The existing facility is not near capacity.
So on that we can maybe get down the road, let's just see, yeah.
Fleet maintenance division, our smallest division, 2 FTE. The supervisor and another full-time mechanic. And these were 2 of our purchases last year. And we also added an ambulance. Some of the other highlights were they lost their workspace when we tore down the Public Works building, and so we converted H building. So they had to move all of their operations to the H building, which I think is functioning pretty well for them, but is still kind of like a makeshift shop. And then, of course, they will move back into the new building. So not only has there been that change, but there have been like some pretty big personnel changes down there. And I really just have to give hats off to Fleet because they have continued to maintain all of our fleet as well as several external accounts as well. So really hats off to Fleet. Spencer is, he's new to leadership and he's just stepped right in and has really risen to the occasion. This year, we'll be purchasing a new vac truck and a forklift. Of course, we'll be moving into the new building. And this I just thought was pretty gnarly and cool to look at. This is a complete engine rebuild that they're currently doing or at least they were doing it last week. Maybe they finished it for Polk County Fire. I just think that looks really cool. That is, yeah, one of their brush trucks. A brush truck. Facilities Maintenance Division is also one of our smallest. Currently, we're missing both. Okay, so a fully staffed facilities division has a foreman, a part-time facilities specialist, a part-time aquatics maintenance specialist, and a part-time custodian. And so currently, we are without a foreman and also without the facilities specialist. Both of those individuals moved on to other positions. So we are working to fill them. They were, and they were great guys. We miss them. But last year, we worked on stabilizing the chimney on City Hall. I would like for you all to be especially grateful for that, because if that chimney falls, it would come right through this ceiling. So
Thank you for that.
you are very welcome.
And thank you for not telling us until it was done.
You are welcome.
How stable is it?
Very stable. We repaired and replaced the HVAC ducting in City Hall and installed the exhaust fans for the restrooms and worked with police to outfit our EOC, which will stand up in the fire department. And looking forward, I'm just really looking forward to having this division fully staffed. Yes. So some other things that we're looking forward to in the year ahead that I haven't captured already, we have master plan updates for both sewer and water. We are embarking on the Godsey Road improvement. So this is South Godsey Road, not the bridge yet, but basically from, not quite from the bridge, but close to the bridge, south to Cloud Corner, to the turnoff, to complete the Public Works building, and then continued progress on securing the additional water rights and moving towards building the new dam. And with that, I really appreciate you asking questions as we went along, but if there are others that you'd like to ask, I will try to answer them, and anything I can't answer, Jake will.
I think, Jake.
It might be Jake, go ahead,
Are we
ask.
spilling over the dam yet?
Yes, sir.
We are.
As of, I think, last Monday.
Okay.
Filled up pretty quick, I think. Over the previous week, it filled up 10 feet or so, which was,
Good to hear.
Go ahead, David.
Saving up way back in the beginning on your org chart that showed all the supervisors. Where are you with, or what are your intentions and where do you stand with filling those two vacant positions, facilities and water treatment?
So we have gone through one round of interviews for the facilities foreman, and we're not, for a couple of reasons, we're not able to hire from that. We're conducting some additional interviews starting this week. So I'm hopeful that we'll find the right person. Yeah. As far as water, that's difficult. And we're still talking about how best to tackle it. It's difficult because we're not quite large enough to have a separate water distribution and a separate water treatment divisions, like a city even the size of maybe like Corvallis or Albany would have.
Anticipate, it's hard to find one person with expertise in both areas.
Exactly, and they have to be certified. So it's not just the experience, but the actual certifications, and they kind of go hand in hand.
It's an uphill fight.
It is. We have done some interviews for that. We haven't found the right person for that either, and so we're looking how to support water going forward. We may need to get creative.
My other question also has to do with water. Why are we upgrading or replacing the radios? What's the issue there?
I'm going to let Jake take that one, if you don't mind. Do you want to take that?
so, 3 years ago or so, we switched radio read systems. Mueller had bought our old system, and they had kind of a new, improved, and better system. And they pitched the idea to move us to their new system. It's just been kind of a slow process. So we've got roughly 6,400 connections, and I think we probably have about 1,700 left to swap over.
Oh, so this is just completing the upgrade that's been in progress for a while. Got it.
And most of those, they upgraded us kind of on their dime. We are purchasing the last 1,500 or so.
So this is the completion of an ongoing effort.
I think with the new dam that we're going to have the potential of less need for staff to manage the flow of water, it would be more automated. I mean, right now I know Jake goes up there, kind of checks the direction of the wind, turns the thing a quarter turn and makes sure that, oh, that looks good. And it's pretty scientific, but are we going to be able to improve on that with the new dam?
It's hard to say because we haven't designed it yet, right? I don't know, do you have any feel for that?
I will say, like Councilor Briggs mentioned, that summertime especially, I'm up there quite often measuring creek flows and adjusting the flow. With how much water we'll have stored up there, we won't need to make adjustments based on how much we're using at the plant, because we'll have enough to let a lot of water down all summer long, at least for the next 40 years or so. So we could kind of almost set it and forget it in the summertime.
So you won't have to babysit it as much, and you can make so many trips up there and might have a little bit of savings in time. Okay, that was my question.
But I do kind of, I would like to see some sort of, automation or something we can maybe check right now, seeing the levels or that sort of thing. That'd be great.
Update on the status of where that approval process is, before we were waiting for the state to give us the go-ahead on the study, and I think that happened.
Right, yes, so we, as I mentioned before, we need to submit both what's called a mitigation and a bypass study. The mitigation plan has been submitted, and I got the report today that the state has no comments on that, so I think that part's good. The bypass study was requiring additional field work. I've been informed that that field work should wrap up in the next couple of weeks, and then could start basically putting together the bypass study. That is one of the questions that I have, is like, okay, then what's our timeline looking like for that? Also, we want to kick off discussions with ODF and W to talk about fish passage. That's going to be a sticking point, I think. And so just reiterated with with Jacobs, who's our consultant on this, that we want to get that ball rolling as well. You're welcome.
This is kind of going down a rabbit trail, but I'm reading an article, I'm following a story right now in California where a water district owns the rights to the water to a couple of cities, and they're kind of throttling back and kind of holding back the ability for these cities to provide water for their people and grow. Do we own 100% of our rights to the water?
Yeah, I believe so. We've got pretty senior water rights up there on the Rick Grill and storage rights, and that's what our application is for.
That's what that's all about, okay. Do we know if there's any state laws that say that they have the right to come in and take water from us if they need, or is that just getting a little too far deep in
I
this?
try to keep in good communications with our water master, and especially years like this year when it's really dry and we're pinching the creek down, he very much tells me we can dry the creek up if we need to. Obviously, we don't want to do that, but I don't have any feelings like as your statement.
Okay, thank you. Questions for Jennifer? All right, thank you. Great presentation. Do you have anything else, Emily, for tonight?
I do not.
Any other business for the work session?
All right, we'll go ahead and we'll adjourn till 7 PM.